It's Feedback Gaming. Welcome back for another tutorial guide or how-to. If you enjoy these kind of videos, hit that like button. And if you have suggestions for any guide tutorial you would like me to make in future, please comment below. Okay, this video is going to be talking about the balance changes to Waking the Tiger and the 1.5 cornflakes patch. Yeah, so what has changed in the way the war works and how the countries play out? Now, we're only a week as of this video, when this video was published, from when the game was officially released. So the multiplayer meta hasn't evolved yet, so I don't want to talk too much about that, but I can make a few predictions in this video. So first of all, Germany has MIFO bills, which reduces their consumer goods by a massive 20%. So Germany had a problem, particularly in the multiplayer meta, where it was overpowered, and it would, if it was trading with all of its other Axis members, it would find itself with a lot of resources, a lot of factories, and a lot of overall production power, followed up with the fact that they have some really kick-ass divisions too. Now we're in a situation where they've buffed Germany even more by reducing their consumer goods. So the consumer good amount now is 0. That's right, 0, because they start out on partial mobilization, which is 25% consumer goods, and then MIFO bill reduces it by 20%. And I think there's something else, I don't know where it is, but it's also reducing it some more. Let's have a look. Is it under free trade, maybe? I'm not sure, but the consumer goods right now are coming to 0. Is that wrong, maybe? Let's have a look. Oh, so the stability is reducing it. Okay, there we go. So partial mobilization, 25. MIFO bills reducing it by 20. And stability is reducing it by 3%, leaving it with 2%. And 2% of the total civvy factories they have comes to 0. There you go. So 2% of 31 is 0. It must be rounded down. So in that case, they're not using any civvy production. And that's only going to get worse as the game goes on, because when they go on war economy, they'll be having less consumer goods. So that means their economy will be self-sustaining. They won't be having any deductions based on consumer goods. So this makes Germany, in most cases, fill out their whole of their Germany. So that's usually a good idea. If you want to go Germany now, it might be a good idea to rush concentrated 3 or dispersed 3, whatever you chose to go with. Why? Well, actually, now think about it, you could actually rush the 4th one as well, because 1939 is where the war kicks off. So you go 1, 2, 3, and then rush the 4th one. The reason why you don't want to rush it is it adds an extra 20% to total factories in the state for concentrated or dispersed. So in that instance, that means you can cram in more factories before you lose your MIFO bills. Be aware that if you don't pay your MIFO bills, or if the war's ended, you have to pay your MIFO bills at the end, which is 20% of your consumer goods on top of what you're already paying. So at the end of the war, or if you've not paid the MIFO bills, you're going to be losing a lot of consumer goods. I'll give you a little hint: always pay them. The political power that you pay to keep the MIFO bills going is always worth it as Germany. Always. Don't ever not pay them. Do not pay your bills. Yes. Okay. What else is a little bit different? Japan pushing into China. Initially, they seem to be a little bit slow. In all fairness, I've noticed them get pushed back, and I've seen them lose Manchukuo as well. And then all of a sudden, they get all momentum and push into China. This is due to the Marco Polo national focus that suffers them a maximum 50% to their attack power while pushing into China. And as time goes on, they get, I think it's once per month, they get a pop-up in the decisions that gives them the ability to get rid of that really nasty penalty. I think the historical context to that is the Japanese were unprepared for how well the Chinese would hold. They thought the Chinese would be a complete walkover, but they weren't, leading to quite a long, drawn-out conflict. Yeah, so that explains why things are a bit different now. But if in most cases, I have seen Japan beat up China. If you do want to help them out, you can send air volunteers as well as Germany or Italy or nationalist Spain, and that will give the Japanese a little bit of a extra bump. That's one of the advantages you've got as Japan versus China. You have the extra air power, where China has to work on mostly just raw manpower. Yep. That's one other change as well. Now, this is a big one. Now, you probably have noticed this if you played a few games of HOI4, but you'll notice that soft attack now is just not as effective, and pushing with infantry just doesn't seem to work as effectively as it used to. Well, there's reasoning behind that. Soft attack, overall, has been nerfed overall. That means artillery pieces, as well as just raw infantry weapons, have had the total software attack reduced. The result of that is that pushing with infantry now is a lot more difficult, and defense is a lot more effective than it used to be. So that makes tanks more powerful, but the real winner of this is air power. CAS had an instance where they were very strong. Then they got nerfed due to they get intercepted more often. And now due to this change to soft attack, CAS are all back in fashion again. But you need to have fighter planes as well to be able to prevent all your CAS getting intercepted by enemy fighters. So air power now is amazing. So don't forget it. So just to give you context why I'm thinking this direction is that because soft attack now is lower, it means defense is stronger. And that means that anything that reduces defense has an overall bigger impact on the war. So, for instance, shore bombardment was strong before, now it's very strong. So not only 25% reduction in defense good, but now as well, to top that off, if you combine with that with... If you could pull this off as Japan, you're a god. You get naval liaison, which adds you an extra 25% extra shore bombardment. So that means your maximum reduction in defense is a massive 50%. So that might explain why Japan might have an easier job in multiplayer grabbing the coastline, because that shore bombardment is going to be huge. And as well, if you're not already aware, air superiority reduces enemy defense as well. So if you're massing lots of fighter planes, this is a fighter plane, you'll find yourself up to a maximum of 50%, that's the base amount, reducing their defense. But if you do go for there's a few of them that improve it, but battlefield support, for instance, gives air superiority here an extra 10%, so that's a maximum of 60% reduction in defense, and there's an extra 20% there, so that's a total of 70%, 80% reduction in defense if you go down this route of battlefield support. So in that case, you're reducing their defense significantly. That means your soft attack is doing more damage, so therefore you're more likely to push them back. I think in the old days, people would rely mainly on ground forces and not use air, and that would result in very stalematey style battles, and even more so now with a change to soft attack as well. So it's kind of like, this is kind of domino effect. One, soft attack is lower, therefore defense is stronger, therefore air is stronger, so therefore coming back around again, that means anti-air is going to be significantly stronger as well. Now anti-air has always been strong, it's just been the underdog, no one seems to go for it. It has some great piercing, particularly against the AI that doesn't seem to make divisions that have got very high armor. Not so much in multiplayer though, but to top it off as well, it gets you a nice boost in a lot of different stats. And the biggest bonus, well, one of the biggest bonuses, is it only uses steel too. So France and Germany can make as much anti-air as their heart's content and not have to worry about having to pull in resources from other countries, which they do with artillery with tungsten, and particularly very much so with anti-tank, which requires a lot of tungsten. So the luxury of anti-air is, one, you're reducing... So, hang on. I'll very briefly explain an air attack. I've done it in another video, but we'll do it again. Anti-air air attack reduces the amount of air supremacy that fighter planes do in a region. So if a region here has 60% air supremacy, in this region of Eastern Germany, and you have some anti-air, that means you will ignore a certain amount of that 60% air supremacy. Yep, does that make sense? And if you have a higher anti-air amount, it will reduce it by a significant amount. I'm waffling here, but just understand that anti-air is very good. And don't forget about anti-air self-propelled guns as well. They're also very, very effective. You can see the air attack is very, very big on them as well. So, in context then, let's look at a hypothetical of what a tank division would look like in this patch. Research all. Is it research all there? No. Okay. There we go. So in that instance, just to give a hypothetical of a tank division that could be effective in the current patch, you could go for, so obviously we are, oh god, there's so many in this list. We're going to go for light, actually probably medium tanks will be better, but just for this context, for this instance, we'll show lights. Just one thing that people don't forget about light tanks, medium tanks, and heavy tanks is that heavy tanks suffer from a bigger penalty on different difficult terrain types such as rivers and forests and hills, where light tanks suffer the least penalty and mediums sit in the middle. It's just nice to know that, because a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, if you want to check those numbers out, you have to look. You have to make your own division to look here. It's not on the research screen. That's just yet again another nice to know. So I mean, this would be an example of an anti-air build that I think would be very effective. Where's the self-propelled? Here it is. Self-propelled, self-propelled, and self-propelled. And there you go. That is a very well-rounded division. It's got a nice amount of armor of 33. That means that artillery, as well as basic infantry, can't pierce this tank unless they had anti-tank guns, which is something to look out for. You've got a very wholesome amount of air attack of 161. Not only will this reduce air supremacy, but it also will shoot down CAS as well as tactical bombers that are on close air support. Just be aware of that as well. Very effective at shooting them down as well. And also you've got your light tanks for your breakthrough and your motorized for your HP and organization. It's got a very healthy amount of organization too. You could, if you want to as well, take off some of these motorized and have a pure, really raw production power armor division here. I wouldn't recommend this one as much, due to the fact the organization is not as high and the HP is not as high. Just be aware of that. Remember, I have researched everything right now with the console command, so these numbers are a bit fudged, so don't be aware of that. I'd prefer 4 motorized overall. For every 20 combat weight, probably having 2 motorized is a good idea, so 40, I mean, you'd have 4. Yep. What else is there regarding balance as well? So the buff to air. Yeah, commandos aren't as effective now, so that means that the Romania, with its super marines and super mountaineers and super commandos, have been significantly nerfed, as well as Japan's super marines as well. So that probably means in multiplayer games, these countries aren't going to be as powerful. But it does mean as well, if they do choose to get commandos, such as mountaineers or marines, they are still going to be effective, but you're just not going to see as many of them. I think that's pretty much it, guys. If there's any changes that you've seen in the current 1.5 patch that confuse you, maybe some multiplayer experience where something different has happened that you weren't aware of, drop me a comment below and let me know exactly what you think the new meta will be. Apart from that, guys, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.